Hi, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC, and this is a big preview of Wrexham's home game on Tuesday against Wigan Athletic in the Carabao Cup first round. Nice to be back in the League Cup at last. Last time we played in it, we lost 5-0 at home to Aston Villa. Let's not mention that one again. But after Saturday's defeat at home to MK Dons, this is an interesting one. I mean, Phil Parkinson has said he's going to rotate broadly. And I wouldn't be totally surprised if we see 10 or even 11 changes from the side that started against MK Dons on Saturday. Lots of players need minutes in their legs, and also the 5 substitutes who came on really impressed and have probably earned, I would say, a chance to start this match. As for Wigan, this is an interesting one for them as well, of course. They won against Derby very impressively at Pride Park on Saturday, a team that's dropped down this season from the Championship with lots of problems behind the scenes. You suspect they will rotate, but to what extent? I mean, they've had to piece their squad together, and Sean Maloney, their manager, has done a very good job of doing that. He's got a lot of young players in there as well. The question there would be, how deep is their squad? How much do they want to rotate? How much does the Carabao Cup matter to them? So, yeah, it's all a bit up in the air in terms of how these two sides will line up. But anyway, I wanted to get a bit more of an inside line on how Wigan Athletic were likely to shape up. And so I had a good chat with Barry Worthington from the excellent Wigan Athletic podcast, Progress with Unity. Thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure to have you on. And it's a strange one, isn't it? The League Cup first round. I mean, we're talking about heavily rotating our side. You got off to an amazing start of the season. You may well be thinking the same way.
Yeah, I think so. I listened to an interview with our gaffer, Sean Maloney, last night, and he said there will be changes, definitely, because some of the, we brought in Sean Clore from Charlton during the summer, and he's not had a pre-season game. He's been injured most of the pre-season, but he played Saturday, and everybody was surprised by it. So he said he won't be playing because it'll be too much, 2 games in 4 days. And I think there'll be 1 or 2 others that will protect a little bit. And also, we have some players who's not had much of a pre-season who'll need to get some minutes in the legs. So, there will be changes, but I think we'll still probably... put a strongish side out, like yourselves. You'll make your changes, and it's on telly, isn't it? So that's the big incentive for a good side. For putting the main lads out.
It's it's brilliant. I know it sounds daft to say this, but it's brilliant to welcome you to the racecourse as well. Simply because you've been through horrible problems over the last few years. And I mean, Wrexham fans are very familiar with that sort of thing. But for you, I mean, honestly, you've been thrown from pillar to post. And it's brilliant that you've been able to keep your heads above water and actually have a competitive team this season, I would argue.
Yeah, we was in administration, I think, during the COVID period, the worst possible time, and we all thought the club had gone. We thought, who's going to buy a football club when there's no revenue coming in through spectators, so that was really horrible time. We got saved at the 11th hour by a Bahraini consortium who were brilliant at first, and we thought the world of them. But they give a budget for 3 years, and it was spent within 18 months, and they refused to put any money in. And so from February, we've been running on thin air, on fumes, and it really did look as though in June this year, beginning of June, it really did look like the club was going to fold. I mean, we'd had the points deductions. We got relegated from the Championship. So we didn't know where we were. And I believe that the fixtures were coming out on the 16th of June. And if the club hadn't been bought by then, the EFL weren't going to allow us to start the new season. Luckily, it was signed over on the 14th of June. The guy stepped in. The owner of Wigan Warriors Rugby Club, he's a billionaire Wiganer, even though he doesn't live in Wigan, and he's not a football fan either. So this is a bit of a strange one. But he's taken over. Sean Maloney's promised him he can run the club on a very tight budget. So that's what we're doing. So I think 17 members of the first team squad's left. all the big earners. The Will Keane, who scored 29 goals last time he was in this league. Great player. Scored on Saturday for Preston. That's the type of on his debut. That's the type of player he is. But we've kept one or two big players, and we've brought in a couple of free transfers and some loan signings. But they're all kids, and we've promoted, which is very exciting for the fans. Promoted 8 graduates from the academy. Yeah. So you love to see it, don't you? I mean, you've got is it Adam Davis in midfield?
Yes, yeah.
And it's something that it connects the club to the town, doesn't it? And the fans get behind that. Yeah. So we've got 8. We've got 8. We had 7 in the squad on Saturday. So how good was that?
Wow, brilliant. We brought a couple off the bench on Saturday, honest. And Davis scored as well. And I
he did. Yeah.
Both he and Bickerstaff, the other local lad, will be playing the starting, I think, on Tuesday. But because Phil Parkinson has promised wholesale changes, so I suspect the 5 subs who came on and all look good, I reckon will probably get starts. But so just going back as well, just a quick question about the financial side of things. Does the statue of Paul Stanley go right next to the statue of Dave Whelan? Have you not picked a site yet?
Please don't mention that. Then the administrators. I mean, so I've heard that some clubs have had good administrators. I don't know who they are, but as a supporter, when people come into your club and start stripping it and selling everything for nothing, you don't get an affinity with them, do you? I mean, we saw Kiefer Moore for what 1.2 million. He's in the Premier League striker, and they said he was going for market value. With a young lad, Joe Gellhart, went to Leeds United. He went for less than £1 million. Alfie Devine, Tottenham Hotspur, I think he went for 450,000. Going to Premier League clubs. It was stripped. They stripped the club, and they even sold our state-of-the-art training ground, which was valued at 10 million, and that went for 2 million to Preston North End. It was horrible. We could just see the club in front of us crumbling. And Paul Stanley, yeah. I mean, I've spoken to Paul quite a few times, and he's a bit of a character. You can have it'd be all right sat in a pub having a pint with, I think. But you don't want him in your club. Absolutely not.
Well, we had good experience of administrators, but it was a long time ago, and I think that was because they were able to sniff out criminal activity, which allowed them to actually stand up for the club. So we were fortunate. But anyway, we'll draw a line underneath that. Maloney seems to me, you say they'll run the club on fumes. He seems to me from the outside to have done a really good job in terms of what he did last year in fighting to try and keep the team going, and also there's so much retool things.
Yeah, brilliant. He's an hero. He's a legend because I don't know if you're aware, we won the FA Cup. We tell everybody this. 2013, we won it with a Ben Watson goal from a corner. Who took the corner? Sean Maloney. We've actually beaten Manchester United as well. That was they were our bogey team. They always beat us 4-0 every time we played them, home or away, 4-0. But we did beat them one season at home. It stopped them winning the league, and we beat them 1-0. And the goal scorer was Sean Maloney. So he's a former player of the season as well. So he is a bit of an hero. He works alongside Roberto Martinez at Belgium as well. But he had a bit of a torrid time up at Hibs. When he was brought into the club to replace Kolo Touré, who I must say is probably the worst managerial appointment in the history of football, but when he came in, it was a bit like a bit of a scratch the head. Is he a manager? Is he a coach? But the first game we played, Blackburn Rovers away, the team was totally different. How they played, they set them up. It was like a breath of fresh air. So from him coming in, he's been so positive. He's bouncy. His football philosophy is brilliant. He wants to play the kids. He's not afraid to promote them. And we play like a passing game now. It's like the old style Wigan Athletic, what I grew up on. I mean, back in the day, it was a little bit more blood and thunder, but it's still a passing game. Roberto Martinez is his type of football, and we've drifted away from that, but he's brought it back. And it works a treat at Derby County on Saturday. And in pre-season as well, he's worked really well. So I'm excited about the future. And Maloney's got some good ideas. He's got the way he wants to play. He's not afraid to use the kids. And I think no matter what happens this season, we're in for an exciting time on the pitch.
Excellent. I'm just worried when I think of our cup record against you. Now I reckon I'm longer in the tooth than you are, so I'm not sure how many of these you'll remember, but nonetheless, I mean, there was a season in the 80s where you beat us in all cup competitions, FA Cup, League Cup, LDV. That was fun. Your name kept coming out of the hat, and we kept thinking, oh, okay, yeah, forget about it. You beat us in what essentially was the quarterfinals of the LDV Vans in a real sort of a game that really stuck with me for our attempt to do a do or die fight back. Our DNA in the past has been doing that and not managing it quite. And I always remember one of the most depressing football matches I've ever watched from a Wrexham perspective was a League Cup tie, where we'd managed to draw the first leg 0-0 with you, and then went to Springfield Park, and you just destroyed us 5-0. I remember Vince O'Keefe, our goalie, punching the ball into the net from a corner and just thinking, why do I like football? I mean, you do tend in the cups to absolutely wallop us, don't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, we've met 24 times over the years. So the first time we met was in the FA Cup. But 12 of those meetings, so 50%, have been in cup competitions. Yeah. I find that like a surprising stat. But the last season we played you, 2001-2, we met 3 times. And you're talking of cup competitions. You did us in the LDV that season. You did us 5-1. And you beat us home and away, so I think we owe you one from back then. But what a twist that was! I mean, we went on this incredible journey after that, and so did you, but in opposite directions.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, Mark, it's lovely to meet up again. You know, I mean, I watched the documentaries, and my missus has fallen in love with football, so it's done that as well. But it's been nice to see the resurgence of Wrexham back into the EFL, and I think you was treading water a little bit, weren't you, in the National League, and you're far too big a club for that. So I think a lot of people are really pleased to see Wrexham back. I know I am.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear, and as well, I think there's so many parallels between Wigan and Wrexham, but like you said, perhaps in slightly different time frames. Everyone's talking about Luton as an example for us to try and follow. You're a wonderful example for us to try and follow. You got up there into the Premier League. I mean, that was a hell of an achievement, because you were in, what was it, 70s? You came into the Football League.
Yes.
I mean, that's an amazing journey, that.
Yeah, 78 we came into the Football League, 4 seasons in the bottom division, we got promoted. We spent almost a decade, just over, in the third tier, got relegated, loads of financial trouble at that time. Dave Whelan came in 95, said he was going to build I remember going to a meeting with him. We just played Hartlepool with 1,200 fans on Springfield Park, what you mentioned. It was falling to bits. And we went to this meeting, and Dave Whelan, to a packed supporters club, it was probably about 250 people, though, which was a lot back then to say, because we were bottom of the league. and he said, I'm going to build a 25,000 all-seater stadium, and within 10 years we'll be in the Premier League. And everybody laughed. And he said, don't laugh, because I'm serious. And that was 1995. 2005 May, we won promotion by beating Reading 3-1 into the Premier League, and we played in a brand new stadium. I mean, you've got to have these dreams and ambitions, haven't you? It gives you something to work for. But what a journey. I mean, I tell all the younger, like my 2 grandsons who come with me now, and all the younger generation, they've only seen us on the up. Even though we've been yo-yoing a little bit, we're still winning. We've won three leagues titles in the last 5 years, So the seeing a winning team all the time. I remember the real doldrums. It was great in non-league because we were one of the big boys in non-league, but as soon as we got into the league, it's very difficult. You're coming up against professional clubs, and it's the ropes, and it's difficult. And we took the fall back into the bottom division, and we really struggled. And without Dave Whelan, I doubt we'd have a club now. If I'm being honest, I think we were that close to going back to the Wigan Athletic of old, the non-league side, but he did save us and put us on this fantastic road and this journey that we've been on, and it's brilliant. But that's why you love football, Mark, because you never know what's around the corner, do you?
Exactly right. I tell you, I didn't see what was coming around the corner for us coming when we had this takeover. It has been utterly insane. But like you say, why not? You can. It's what happens on the pitch that matters. If you can get yourself organised, who knows? It's crazy in it. Football. Always a capacity
Yeah.
to surprise. It's a game I'm looking forward to. It really is.
Yes.
It'll be brilliant to see you guys, but it's quite pleasant anyway this season, looking down the fixture list and thinking, we haven't played those for a while. And I was quite pleased for once that your name came out of the hat because yeah, I know you always beat us in cup competitions, Dennis Smith's season notwithstanding, but it's going to be brilliant to welcome you back to the racecourse, and you get to play under these fancy new floodlights we've got as well. I can assure you that'll be an experience in itself.
Lovely stuff.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. That was brilliant. Thank you.
No, you're welcome, Mark, and lovely to be on. And best of luck for the season.
And you as well. Goodness me, you guys have earned this. When you started in the right manner anyway, haven't you? So,
yeah, it's got a bit warmer in Wigan. We're now -8 instead of we're -5 instead of -8, so it's warming up.
Oh, beautiful. Well, it was horrible at the Wrexham on Saturday, but it was nice yesterday. I've not really looked at the window much this morning out of fear of breaking our good hot weather spell, but should be all right. That's brilliant to talk to Barry, and you can hear more from him on Dragonheart this week because he'll be talking in the depth about James McLean, of course. And speaking of him, will he play on Tuesday? I genuinely don't know if that's possible or on the cards or not. It'd be interesting to see if he could. But yes, so it's all up in the air. It's a tough one to predict this, in all honesty. Wigan, you suspect, will play in a pretty similar style to us. I can't help feeling that the likes of Palmer and Davis have earned their right to actually start the match. So, bit of a wait-and-see situation. First night match under the big floodlights as well. It should be a fair old occasion. So, let's see how it goes. Remember, you can keep in touch with it by listening to the live commentary on iFollow, Wrexham Player. And you can also keep watching out for the social media updates, all that good stuff that's on there. And then afterwards, the Hot Take podcast, soon after the final whistle podcast with a bit more detail the day afterwards. Plenty to look forward to this week. Let's see how we go. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham Football Club.